Head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
Hey, welcome back. It's the Thirsty Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. It is the first show of 2020, and we are kicking off this presidential election season, getting into all the candidates, all the fundraising, all that great stuff. Frankie Morano joins me again. And before getting into that, I want to remind you, for this week's edition, the first ever edition of my weekly newsletter, the Monday Morning Quarterback, you got to get your request in by tomorrow so we can get you in the email load and send it to you on Monday. The Monday Morning Quarterback is going to be my thoughts, what I'm looking at, and your roadmap to the week in the markets of what's happening. It's a completely free newsletter. My thoughts Monday morning at what I'm looking at for the week. A lot of people, Frankie, message me and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'll still answer the one-offs. But I think there's enough people out there that, I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of requests already. But to get it on Monday, you got to, this week, the first ever edition of the Monday Morning Quarterback, you got to be in by tomorrow so that we can load up that list for the first mail on Monday morning. So email me. You can email me at JT, my initials JT, at liquidlunchtv.com. And you can just ask for to be added to the list. I want to know your name, the city and state you live in. That's it. Completely free. No credit card. No, give me your credit card and the first 2 months are free, and then we'll give you none of that. It's free. Give me your email, your name, city and state. That's all I want to know. And you can get the Monday Morning Quarterback starting this Monday.
All right. Well, I think that's all very important. Those of you that thought there was no such thing as a free newsletter, John is proving you wrong.
Ta-da!
And there's actually some, John's giving me a preview of some of the things that he's going to be including there. There's actually some great stuff in there, so you should take advantage of that. And I definitely want to say a big hello to all of our listeners in the state of California, especially in Concord, California, where I am told that Danny Corum and Laura Mano are watching us
every day.
And, well, I don't know about every day.
No,
but at least
I mean
today,
every day we're getting new viewers.
That's right.
Boom, boom,
and,
boom.
From what I understand, I don't want to out Danny here or ruin the surprise for Laura, but they're soon to be engaged. And Danny actually wanted us to ask Laura on air if she would be his wife.
Oh, so we just proposed
for
Danny
proposed
to Laura.
for Danny.
Right
Danny
here
Corum
on Liquid Lunch. We should get them
Laura.
to Skype in and find out the answer.
Exactly.
This is crazy.
Skype in.
Danny and Laura, I hope she said yes. It's, just after 10 Pacific time. And what better way to kick off the first business day of the new year than announcing or asking, who asked someone else to propose to their wife?
Well, I heard they were soon to be engaged, and so I sort of took the extra step that
right.
we
Well,
were supposed to be doing the asking.
Let's ring the bell on that
Yes,
one. That's
absolutely.
big.
Congratulations.
It's our first potential engagement.
That's right.
We'll report back to you a little later
Right.
on if she
Tweet
said
to
yes.
us. Tweet to us at Liquid Lunch TV.
Please let us
know what the
know
answer
if
is.
she said yes.
All right.
We'd like to know.
And
I don't know if you saw on New Year's Eve, a fireman proposed to his, I guess now fiance. Did you see that video
no.
right in Times Square? The girl did not look like she was saying yes.
Oh boy.
She was kind of standing there like, and the guy's like down on his knee holding it. I don't know what happened there.
Well, on a much sadder note, we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the passing of baseball legend Don Larson. Don Larson, those of you that are Yankee fans or even those of you that are old-time Brooklyn Dodger fans may remember, pitched a perfect game in the 1956 World Series. He remains the only person ever to pitch a no-hitter in the World Series, and until about 2 or 3 years ago, was the only person ever to pitch a perfect game in postseason play at all. He was 90 years old, and while I never got to see him play personally, and to be honest, most of his career, aside from that game, was pretty mediocre, mostly due, and this is Don Larson's own acknowledgement, to all the partying that he did off the field. But Don Larson remained a big presence in New York area baseball fans' lives because he'd always come back for the Old Timers Day games. He was always a big part of the baseball community. And I'm glad he had a long life. Passed away apparently due to esophageal cancer.
Wow.
And we're sorry to hear
All right,
that.
well, he made it to 90, and he will live forever in baseball lore as the only man as of now, and always be the first man.
Absolutely.
To pitch a perfect game in the World Series, which is a tremendous accomplishment. And speaking of Dons, another passing we just heard of, radio legend, or infamous radio legend, Don Imus, passed away just recently. And he was, like the original shock jock, I think, Imus. And then he kind of went up and down and up and down. But I give him one thing. He had staying power because he always came back. And one of the best, our good friend Bernie McGurk over at 77
Yes.
WABC
Imus's
Radio
producer for a long time.
was Imus's producer for a while. And I was listening to Bernie and Sid, one of the finest shows you want to hear on Morning Drive in New York on WABC Radio. And Bernie and Sid had Mike Breen on. Mike Breen was an upstate, local sports guy. He started working at WNBC, and they had Breen was saying to Bernie and Sid how Don Criqui was the sports guy on Imus, and many of our viewers in Middle America may remember hearing Imus every morning. He had his whole entourage there, and Don Criqui was taking off Monday and Friday. So Mike Breen, who's now a famous NBA basketball and sports announcer, probably one of the top of the shop in the world, went into Imus's office with the general manager, and he said, this is when Imus was drinking. Imus was whacked. He had his head between his legs, and the GM said, hey, this is a new guy, Mike Breen. He wants to know if he can fill in for Criqui when he's off on Monday and Friday. And Breen said, Imus didn't even pick his head up, and he said, yeah, that's fine. And then the next day when he showed up to actually be on, Imus shut his mic off for a second and said, who the F are you? So he had no even a fine period in the NBA.
If you know of anyone else that died recently, just let us know. Find us on Twitter at Liquid Lunch TV.
Yeah, we're happy to remember all of our fallen brothers and sisters. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with a little more Liquid Lunch right after this.